Hi, good morning. Good morning, everyone. So today I'm going to speak about not just connection. I'm going actually speak about relationship and different phases which we have when we start dating someone. And of course, the first thing when we start dating, we see someone, we imagine a person, we're going for the date. It's kind of like those really amazing, fantastic moments. I think like today we have a lot of students here, so boys and girls, you really understand what I'm talking about, about going for the date. But what is actually happening in your body when you start dating someone, when you see someone? On the physical or like chemical, I would even say, level, when you see a person you really like, you have this amazing blast of dopamine, which comes like in this little tiny part of your brain. And this is what you makes feels really exciting. People call it like the symphony of hormones. So it really gives you like this boom of energy and desire, and you want to meet this person and you want to go for a date. And when you come for a date, you're kind of like feeling also this adrenaline because it's also present, and like you basically can turn the whole world around, just like you want to see that person again for like 5 minutes. If you take dopamine in your body, it's basically, when you're coming to a dance club, the dopamine, it will be like a DJ, like who puts like the beat and making this dance floor to rush. This is what you feel. And then there are like two other components which are coming in place. It's the serotonin and which makes us kind of like feel that we want to be cozy. Oxytocin and vasopressin, they really want us to stay in bed with that person, to cuddly, to have some tea, to watch Netflix together, those to put some candles around. It's that feeling of coziness, and these are those two elements which actually want us to be close to the person. And then there is adrenaline, which also kicks in. If you take like the dance floor, right, the comparison, like adrenaline would be the one who will make us to make the crazy things. So what do you think would drive the guy to show up at 6 o'clock in the morning in front of your balcony and start singing the song, right? Like I have the Romeo and Juliet in my mind. So this is actually the adrenaline. Like people seriously lose the fear. They can do everything. They can go into the fight for the mate, and they can, I don't know, drive 500 kilometers to meet you. It's like really the adrenaline rush when you start dating a person. It really kicks in and it makes you to do crazy things. Then we might think like, is it actually only humans who experience it, or like, are we unique in our dating? Is it unique that it's only us who have these amazing hormones? Actually, no. It's not only us, and we need to look at our like cousins. The best cousins, which I call, are bonobo apes and chimpanzee apes. There was like amazing studies made by Franz de Waal about bonobos. I really like those ones. They're like the hippies of love. Basically, this saying, make love, not peace. Bonobos, they take it literally. So whenever they have a conflict, like territorial or for the food or whatever, they would rather not fight like humans do or chimpanzees do. They actually would make love to resolve the conflict. Whenever they want to share some food, they also wouldn't fight around the food. They were like, okay, let's first make love and then we share this banana together. Chimpanzee, on another side, actually I think like sometimes we're closer to chimpanzee. They're a bit more like humans, they really like grooming each other. They can spend the evening together, like very similar to the people, but then they're a bit more aggressive. When it comes to protecting their partner, they're a bit more aggressive when it comes to protecting the territory, etc., etc. And humans, like, I always think we're like somewhere in between those two, but humans wouldn't be humans if we wouldn't put some technology even here. So the first change, actually, how people date, it happened when humans invented bicycle. You know why? Because like that, you can date not only like boys and girls who are in your village, but you can also take the bike and drive to the neighborhood village. And that really increased the choice of the partners and kind of like cross countries marriages. Like the first study was done in UK, but then basically the same happened across the whole Europe. And that makes the choice of your partner really hard. So imagine like before you were living in a village and you had maybe like, I don't know, in your group age, you had like between 10 and maybe like 15 partners to choose from. And then suddenly the bicycle is invented, right? And like your number automatically jumped to like 30, 40 partners to choose from. And then times go on, and now we have Tinder. Like, seriously, you can travel with Tinder, you know, like you just change the geo position, and suddenly you're already not choosing your potential partner from Riga, but you're choosing it from Rio de Janeiro. And like, if you compare it, so before you would come to the candy shop and you would see only like a carrot cake, and now you're coming to the candy shop and like it's basically unlimited. You know, it's like a huge mall where you have only candies. It from one point it sounds great. It's like, oh, amazing! It's like such a variety of choice. But then comes the question like, do I make a right choice here? You know, if the choice is so huge, like, how do I make a right choice? And you know what? The answer will not be on the next slide. Because there is no answer for that. It's basically, you can never be sure. You know, when you start dating, you can never be sure if it's the right person, because there is no such a thing as a right person, most probably. You know, it's kind of like you're just meeting your two different people, and then you just start living together. And then you start living together, and what happens? You're coming to such a called 3-year each. It's pretty proven that a lot of couples start experiencing problems in their relationship at this 3 years period approximately. Let's look at it like from the chemical perspective. What happens in your body? The dopamine which you had, it's kind of like goes back to the normal level. Some people are even saying that, like, of course, it's a bit individually, but some people are saying that it might go back to the normal level after like 3, 5, 6 months. You know, it's like, it's the spirit when the butterflies, they go away and you're not like so excited anymore. And you would rather notice that you do not have the butterfly in your stomach, but you're actually like irritated that like, I don't know, your partner did something wrong in the bathroom. So then the oxytocin and vasopressins, they're still staying there. You still need this coziness. You still have the desire to hug your partner, to watch like Netflix together, to be relaxed, but it's not so dominant anymore. You know, it's kind of like settling down. It's like this last song on the dance floor, you know, like when everybody are a bit tired. And adrenaline is gone. Like, it's basically gone. You need to jump from the parachute to get the same level of the adrenaline again, you know, but it's, yeah. From the relationship, it's totally gone. And they're saying that the sex level also decreases. On average, like there are different studies, of course it depends on the culture, on the country, it's individual, but they're saying that approximately at this period is like an average couple would have approximately 54 intercourses per year, which makes it around once per week. But I think it's a bit exaggerated. I think a lot of people are actually having it much less. But this is what are the studies saying. And so what can we actually do that our bedroom doesn't turn into the boredom, sort to say? There are a lot of studies around it. And personally, me, I really like Esther Perel and her ideas around what we can expect from the partner and what we should do like by ourselves. Basically, the main problem here that we are putting too much on one person. because we are really trying to replace or like to satisfy all of our needs only in one that person. So we want the person to be a perfect mate. We want a person to be a perfect like household neighbor, you know, who does all the things right at home. We want that person to be the best friend to go to the movies. We want that person to be a perfect planner to go for the holidays. It's like we're really trying these days to replace all the needs which you have and satisfy them only in one person. And that's normally doesn't work. And then if we are coming back to our hormones, we basically expect that the dopamine should be on the same level and the oxytocin and vasopressin should be on the same level, but it's simply not there. And we want to love the person and we want to have the desire. But those are two different things and they're actually sometimes contradict. You can perfectly love the person, you can love the person really much, but it doesn't mean if you love a person, you desire the person. Because love comes from you trust, you know, there are no secrets left, you can fully rely. The desire comes novelty, excitement, something new, something unknown, risky. And you see, so we cannot really expect that love will bring the desire because those are two different things and we need to understand it, we need to talk about it, and we need to balance them. So we really need to give that space. If we don't want our bedroom to turn to the boredom, we really need to give some space for the desire to appear there. We should not like overwhelm everything with love and then expect that the desire somehow show up. It's like we really need to grow the desire, to give some novelty in our relationship, to be like every day new for our partner. And this is what we need to do by looking into ourselves, right? Like, what am I doing for that? Not what should I expect from the partner, but like, am I an exciting person to be with, you know? Do I still look and do I still try to be great for my partner after 3 years? Or it's kind of like, oh no, like I don't want to take shower this morning, you know, like who cares? You know, actually your partner can imagine like if you would come like whatever on your first day, probably you wouldn't start dating. So it's really dependent on us. But then if we think, okay, this 3-year thing, right, is probably the nature made us, you know, so you make a baby, you grow it a bit, so it's, the nature thought, okay, like those humans, so they need like 3 years to raise the baby, so they're not eaten by the lion, it's okay, it's good, and then they can continue to make babies with other people. So, but like we evolved, and basically now we're, I wouldn't say stuck, but we are living in a society where monogamy is a common principle. And what are actually the origins of monogamy? Why do we kind of like decided to live that way? There are a lot of hypotheses around it. The first one was about agriculture. And I think it really has like a big part in it. So basically when humans started to grow potatoes and tomatoes, etc., you know, you needed to be sure that all those tomatoes, but of course I'm more talking about the land and the houses, should be inherited by your heir. So what does it mean? You absolutely needed to be sure that the child you're having is your child. And here, unfortunately, for women came the period when the women kind of like became part of the ownership, you know, like it was seen, okay, it's a person who will make me heirs, you know, that's why we need to live in a monogamic relationship. This is my wife, I own my wife. And this is what kind of like this institutional thinking started to appear with agriculture. Then the religion kicked in. You know, the majority of the religions, they support monogamic relationship. Of course, there are some exceptions, but in the majority. Then there is also the evolutionary perspective to that it's easier to upbring a person when there are always two people together and that it's a stable couple. Then there is the stability theory that we started to be monogamic because, you know, the guys do not have to go and search for someone else, so we are living in stability. And then the power of the pair bonding. But of course, there are like other thoughts and ideas that people can be polyamoric, and there are like some pluses and minuses, but we have to think, okay, the society didn't really accepted it. So if people are practicing it, it's kind of like there will be boundaries, you know, in our society. Like, not so, our society is not really made for it. Otherwise, we would be living all in the polyamory relationship. One of the last things which I want to say is like, what is actually the difference between polygamy and polyamory? Polygamy, for me, it's a bit like, not for me in general, it's a bit more close to monogamic relationship, meaning it's kind of like very fixed set. In some cultures, for example, like one man can have 3 wives and they always live together, so there is no like mix. In some cultures, there's like woman has few husbands and they live together kind of like also in a set structure. Polyamory, it's a bit more like about fluidical structures of the families bonding. And like, I think at the end, what I want to say, you have like your whole life in front of you, because everybody are young here. So really think of relationship as not a destination, but rather as a road. You know, it's a trip which you would need to take with your partner, take it with the respect, and never think what you will come at the end, just enjoy the ride. Thank you.